I have a book haul. It's definitely not as neat as most booktubers make their piles of books. I feel like I've done a few book hauls recently, mainly because of Christmas, but I don't feel guilty because pretty much all the books in the last two book hauls were gifts. So January was my opportunity to go a bit crazy and buy myself a few books. I also had some book vouchers, so again, it wasn't too much money spent and I am super happy with all of the books I did buy. But without further ado, let's go on with the haul. I think this angle works slightly better. So let's just do it as the pile comes. The first book I have here was a gift to myself for getting a distinction in the first essay I'd written for my postgrad, and that is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. My mum read me this book when I was a child, but I've never read it since as an adult or even really a teenager, and I would like to re-experience it. I didn't own my own copy and I have wanted this edition for the longest time as it matches my edition of Snow White, which is also illustrated by Camille Rose Garcia. It's an unedited text just with a gorgeous array of accompanying illustrations that you can not only see on the front here but also inside. There's just little details like this and bigger pictures like this. So I'm really pleased to have this edition and I just can't stop looking at it, honestly. Next is a book you probably won't be surprised by, and that is Brand New Ancients by Kate Tempest. I received a book of her poetry called Hold Your Own for Christmas. I've read it, I've done a review on it, I have insisted upon you all how much I love it, so I had to buy her other book of poetry, also based on ancient myths but with a modern retelling, and I haven't read this one yet but I'm sure I'll love it just as much. Next is another children's book, and that is The Island of Adventure by Enid Blyton, which I don't think you can see properly, sorry about the lighting. And this is just a really lovely edition of one of Enid Blyton's classic children's mysteries, and I adored her books as a child. I loved her famous 5 books. I just thought they were so much fun and definitely got me into the mystery genre, and when I saw this edition of one of her books I couldn't resist picking it up and having a little bit of a reminiscence. Sticking with mysteries, I then bought The Sussex Down Murder by John Bude. Now I've never read anything by this author before, I don't really know anything about him, but this gorgeous collection of classic mysteries was released by British Library Crime Classics, all in these really nice kind of 1950s-esque designs. They're kind of shorter than a ordinary paperback, so they're quite quirky designs, and I've wanted to pick one up for a while, but I really enjoy my slightly more old-fashioned mysteries like Agatha Christie, Sherlock Holmes, which is obviously even earlier still, and I wanted to try out some more authors who wrote in that kind of genre, and I just liked the sound of the mystery on the back of this one. It's set in rural England, which is always a mysterious setting. Hopefully I'll enjoy it and check out more of the books in this series. Next is a book I bought on the recommendation of quite a few of you in my reading goals for 2015 video, when I said one of my reading goals was to read a piece of translated modern fiction, or at least not a piece of ancient fiction, and so many people said I should read Perfume. And this is quite a famous book, it's particularly for the description of smells. It's about a man in the 18th century with an uncanny ability to smell, essentially, and his obsession with trying to capture the scent of innocent young virgins, I believe. So hopefully I love this one as much as all of you said I will. Next up is a book I'm certain I'll love, and that is a collection of short stories by John Wyndham. This is Consider Her Ways, which is one of 2 collections of John Wyndham's short stories, which have recently been released by Penguin in the matching editions to the copies of the novels I own by him, so I couldn't resist checking them out. I've never read any of John Wyndham's short stories, but I love his novels, so hopefully I enjoy these just as much, and these are science fiction short stories written around the 1950s and 60s. Almost done. Next is Tinder by Sally Gardner. I've heard a few people talk about this book on BookTube, in particular Sana from Books and Quills comes to mind, and I'm just really intrigued. It's a gorgeous cover, like how could you resist this, with gorgeous accompanying illustrations to match the eerie feel, like so, and I do enjoy an illustrated book. By the sounds of it, it is a fantasy slash horror novel, which is all I can really say. This is one of those books that has intrigued me and pulled me in for unknown reasons. I also have to point out what is underneath the dust jacket, isn't that fab? Last but not least is a non-fiction book, and that is Epicureanism by Tim O'Keefe. Epicureanism was a branch of Greek philosophy which began with Epicurus in the early Hellenistic period, and I'm taking a course on Epicureanism this term, and this was just one of the books that they said was just a really good all-rounder for a good understanding of Epicurus's philosophy. It's only about 200 pages long. I'm already 50 pages into it and really enjoying it. It flows really well, it's really nice and easy to read, and I really enjoy learning about Epicurean philosophy. It's just one of the ancient philosophies that I just find very interesting. It's based on early atomism with a much heavier emphasis on ethics and living a good life. So yeah, if you're interested from what I've read so far, I think this is a really good introductory book to Epicureanism. And that is it. Those are all the books I've bought recently. And until next time, happy reading. Bye guys!